This is Chit and Chat, the encouraging one another podcast. Interview musicians, comedians, sports personalities, and basically whoever has a story. And that's pretty much anyone. Get back and relax with a fun time of encouragement and great music by artists from all over the world. This is Chit and Chat, the encouraging one another podcast. What it's always about, encouraging others. Our next song comes from a musician from Ireland. She'll be on an upcoming podcast episode. I interviewed her, and she'll be out here pretty soon. Her name's Claire Cunningham, and I love her style. I love Irish music. I love singers from Ireland. Just their heart, their way they sound is just so incredible. But this is her song, Comfort Zone.
Just a pawn in the game of life, when no two pieces move alike. I may never be a king or queen, but there's still a chance to win this game. Make a move, make a move. They say it's all black and white, we're all equal, but that's a lie. Outside my comfort zone. Comfort zone. I can't give you bad habits out. Face my fears and clear my doubts. I can change the game I'm in. My next move is sink or swim. Make a move. Time to make a move. What am I afraid of? Maybe it's myself. Time to take my life apart. Leave some pieces on the shelf. Now or never, I'll be better. Outside my comfort zone. Outside my comfort zone. Outside my comfort zone. What am I afraid of? Maybe it's myself. Time to take my life apart. Leave some pieces on the shelf. Now or never, I'll be better. Now or never, I'll be better. Now or never, I'll be better. Outside my comfort zone. Outside my comfort zone. song.
Wow, what a great song by Claire Cunningham. Comfort Zone. You know what? A few years ago, doing podcasts was not even close to being on my range of things I wanted to do. I didn't feel comfortable in the way I talked, the way I just couldn't do it, you know? But I stood out at comfort zone and I went forward and pursued it. I love this. I love podcasting. I love DJing. I love just having fun with my listeners and sharing great encouragement for you today. So that was Claire Cunningham, Comfort Zone. So step outside your comfort zone. Hello there. Welcome back to Chit and Chat, the encouraging one on the podcast. I'm your host, Jody Sheffield, and this podcast is about sharing encouragement, having fun conversations, and I truly believe everyone has a story, challenges they faced, adversity they've gone through, and I believe when people share their stories, I believe it helps others who may have gone through something similar. And so my goal is simply for each episode is to encourage one person out there. Pretty simple, right? Today I got some great music lined up for you today by artists like Dustin Starks, Denny Michelle, Sherry Kagi, Whiskey Magnolia, and Alina Ray today here on the show. And I get the opportunity to speak to someone I haven't seen since 2009. I met her at our church a long time ago, and I'm so excited today to have her on. She's not a musician or a comedian or an athlete. No, she's not. She has been in the Army for 22 years. In July, it'll be 22 years. Born and raised on the border of Detroit and Michigan and Ohio. She's not a Buckeye fan, but she joined the Army at age 17. She's been all over the world, and I just want to connect with her. She has a tremendous story of some adversity she has gone through and her family, and want to share with you today. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Chit and Chat Encouraging One on the Podcast, Casey Cole. Hello there.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well. A little older, a little grayer.
Me too. Me too.
I did a brief introduction for you already, so we'll just dive right into some fun conversations today. Welcome, by the way.
Thank you.
Greetings from Germany, correct?
I'm sitting in Italy right now, actually.
Italy, oh. Yeah. I need some like romantic music in the background, right?
I'm in Milan.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
Yeah.
It's been a number of years since we spoke, but I can't wait to catch up a little bit and just kind of see how you're doing. But before we dive into some fun conversations, I'd like to throw some icebreaker questions at my guests, kind of get the wheels on the bus going.
Okay.
What food from over yonder do you love, that some folks over here might find a bit odd?
So in Germany, probably one of my absolute favorite things is a cheese pretzel. And so most Americans, when they order pretzels at restaurants or at a sporting event, they want like cheese sauce to dip it in. That is not something Europeans do. Germans do not have a cheese sauce that they dip pretzels in. But you could get a Käse pretzel, which is basically a pretzel with cheese. But it's, I can't even tell you what type of cheese they use, but basically they just like put it's cheese that's on the pretzel. It's like, and then baked.
Okay.
So but to me, it's like one of my favorite things. I love it. Certain bakeries have better ones than others. But that's like a go-to for me personally.
Yeah. You have a favorite bakery over there you enjoy getting them from?
Actually, some of my favorite or some of the best cheese pretzels are actually at the commissary.
Okay.
I don't know. So in the commissary, they do have like a German bakery section. I don't know what bakery they contract out through. The rest of the bread, and baked goods actually in Europe are made here, or that are sold in the U.S. Commissaries are actually made in Germany at an AFES depot that we actually, my food inspectors support and inspect.
Oh, nice.
So what most people don't know, military-wise, when you're stationed overseas, you're not getting bread frozen, flown in from the U.S. It's actually made in Germany, and we get it fresh to order.
Cool.
Yeah.
You don't get Wonder Bread. You get some other German.
Yeah, well, and you get Wonder Bread because so they have the recipes to all. They have like 11 different contracts, so they have the recipes for those companies, and they have the packaging in order to make it here fresh and then ship it out to all the bases. So the soldiers and sailors, Marines, airmen, everybody over here is actually getting fresh.
I didn't know. I learned something.
Yeah, well, and I mean, majority of the service members stationed here don't know.
Oh, wow.
And I only know because it's part of my territory of my job.
Nice.
So,
question 2: if you have an unlimited supply amount of anything except money, what would you want and why? I myself love coffee.
I do love coffee. An endless supply.
Yep. Doesn't go bad. It's always available for you anytime.
Kale.
Okay. You love salads? Sandwiches?
Kale. It's weird. So I have this, I guess, silly obsession with kale. It's so good for you. It's so healthy. It's so good for you. There's multiple kinds. You can use it in just about anything. You can make it sweet. You can make it savory. You can juice it. You can, like, like Forrest Gump with the shrimp, or, Bubble with shrimp. It's like me and kale, all the different ways to like cook it, prepare it, and have it. And when I lived in California and I really was training a lot, and I started training for Ironman, and kind of got a little bit, I've always tried to be pretty healthy and eat clean. But I got a little bit more obsessed with it in California, but I could get kale at any time. And even when I went back to Michigan, my parents' house or whatever, I could just go to the grocery store and buy kale. And then I moved to Germany, and the Germans where I live don't eat it. It's kind of considered poor people food. And it's seasonal, so it's more of a fall vegetable. So almost all year round, I can never get it.
Oh, wow.
And I can come September, October timeframe, I can find it. I can find it in certain grocery stores. The commissary will carry it because they partner with some of the I guess local farms, but I can't ever get it. Now, northern Germany, I think it's a little bit more accessible, and it's kind of definitely more of a winter dish at like the Christmas markets. You'll find like cooked kale with sausage, and then in Bavaria, I was able to find it at a farmer's market in July in Bavaria, and I bought 2 bushels of it. My kids thought I was crazy. You've probably noticed sometimes in my photos when I travel, like I will go to farmers markets and I'll go to grocery stores and I specifically look for kale, and I will buy it and I will put it in my suitcase and I will bring it home to Germany.
We'll get that later. But me stalking you on Facebook, seeing all your many journeys along Facebook. It's always fun to watch.
So I have bought kale in Ireland and Estonia and Sweden, just like a bag, because a lot of my trips are only like 3-4 days long. And so like I'll buy it and then I'll put it in my backpack and take it back to Germany so I can have a couple days of salads that have crisp green kale, and it makes me so happy, it sounds so silly to say, but
hey, it's healthy for you. That's all that matters.
It's a silly thing, but
number 3, if given the ability to write a book about anything, it was guaranteed to be a bestseller, what would you write about and why?
Wow. I have no idea.
Okay. You travel a lot. You see some really cool places. We'll get into that.
I have traveled a lot. Oh,
Casey on the road.
yeah. And then the whole, maybe, if I was to write a book, but not necessarily saying it would be a bestseller, or truly don't know, honestly.
Well,
I feel like I really just try to live life to the fullest and take advantage of the opportunities that have been provided to me.
Okay.
And so I think just maybe resiliency and how to keep going and cherish each day, because tomorrow's not guaranteed.
True.
And that's one of the reasons I do travel and I do all of these things, because life is so short.
The next few questions are kind of fill in the blank. The best place to take a hike and see some incredible scenery is?
Norway.
What is the most beautiful city you've ever visited, and what was so amazing about it?
I'm going to backtrack a little bit on the hiking one.
Okay.
Throughout all of the Alps is beautiful. I've not hiked in the Dolomites yet, but it's on my bucket list. But Norway's gorgeous. Switzerland is gorgeous. Austria, even parts of Germany, completely gorgeous. But I think Norway is probably, from my own personal experience, the best so far.
What city is the best place to get a cup of coffee? Who has some really good coffee over there?
Germans actually have very good coffee. I have heard from some people, that Germans actually care more about their coffee than their beer. German coffee is very good. Italians have very good coffee as well. Italian coffee, espresso, everything. Most stuff over here, it's going to be an espresso, or cappuccino or something. In the U.S., you go to a coffee shop and you can get the small to extra large, and we try to make them fancy with all the different milks and sugars and not healthy stuff that you don't need, but it's a little bit more simple over here, where you kind of have one to two sizes. And it's mostly just coffee and milk, or coffee and milk and sugar.
Let's start from the beginning. Where were you born and raised? And give us a little brief bio about yourself.
I was born in Toledo, Ohio. I was raised in, I'm going to say, both Toledo, Ohio, and Temperance, Michigan. So I grew up on the state line. My dad worked for the city of Toledo. And so when he was as a city employee, he had to live inside the city limits, but 10 minutes away, across the border, was my grandparents' house in Temperance, Michigan. And we had horses. And so even when I was born, my mom had a horse, and almost every weekend throughout my childhood, spring break, summers, once I was older, I showed 4-H. And so we were always at my grandparents' house. And then when I was 15, we ended up buying my grandparents' house. My grandma passed away, I want to say in 96, when I was in 7th, 8th grade. And a couple years later, my grandfather got remarried and moved into Toledo with his new wife, and we bought his house. So at 15, moved into what was my grandparents' house. It's my parents' house now. But I continued. I was a sophomore, and so I used my grandpa's address, his new address, to continue going to school in Toledo, because that way I didn't have to switch high schools my sophomore year.
Okay.
But it was a 10-15-minute drive, so I grew up in both states. I've lived in both states as an adult, and I consider both home.
Living in both states, did you have a favorite sports team? I mean, Michigan and Ohio aren't the best of friends.
They are not. And they are not. So I'm 100% not a Buckeye fan.
Okay.
It's Michigan all the way. Even from when I was a little kid, we used to have Ohio-Michigan Day at school. And in Toledo and then in Michigan, it's a little bit more of a friendly rivalry, even in Ann Arbor. But the closer you get to the horseshoe in Ohio, it is not a friendly rivalry. Ohioans are not fun, not pleasant about that rivalry. Not at all. It's funny. My daughter was a year old at the time. I moved from Michigan to Ohio military wise when she was only like 2 months old. And she was going on a year, and it was, November time for the game, but I still had Michigan plates on my car, and I got mooned. I got flipped off, and I got run off the road.
Oh, no.
So that sealed it that I will never root for the Buckeyes. Michigan all the way.
After graduating high school, did you have your sights on college, or I said earlier you were in the Army. What kind of drew you into the Army, and how does that decision go for you and in going that route?
I joined, officially joined before my senior year of high school. So I went to MEPS and rose my right hand, said my oath, signed my contract, and entered the delayed entry program August 7th, 2001. And I just had to graduate in order to leave for basic training. So I was in the delayed entry program almost as long as you could be in it. I, even from a young age, 5, 6 years old, I really just wanted to travel and see the world. And I had a lot of family that had been in the military. My grandfather, a lot aunts and uncles, cousins. And my cousin Justin was one of my inspirations, I would say. He was in the Navy, and, when you're on a ship, you travel and you port at all these different locations. And I just wanted to travel and see the world. And I thought, what better way to do it than to also, to be in the military. And if I was to get stationed overseas, then I could see all of these things. And again, a patriotic family, lots of us, a lot of family members served in the military, a lot of family members in law enforcement. And I'm not a big fan of school. It was not the best fit for me. And so I didn't want to go to college right away. I didn't want to waste my time or money with not knowing what I wanted to do. I don't think a lot of 17, 18, 19-year-olds truly know what they want to do in life, and heading to college right away with not really knowing or experiencing anything isn't always the best. Now, it works out for a lot of people, but it doesn't work out for others. And for me, I just knew it wasn't going to work.
And my dad was Army, I was Navy. In your family, did someone really encourage you to pick the Army, or how did you go about choosing the Army over the other branches?
Well, originally wanted to join the Navy. I think more, I had, my family's pretty split, Army, Navy. And with my cousin Justin, traveling everywhere on the ship, I wanted to join the Navy. And he kept telling me most of the world is water.
It is. It was.
I don't think my dad was thrilled about the Army at first. I think he wanted me to join more of the Navy or the Air Force. But my family was supportive from the get-go. They knew I wanted to. And I was 17, going into my senior year. So my parents had to sign all the paperwork. The recruiter had to come to the house and get their a permission for me to join. But they've always been very supportive.
Where was boot camp for you?
Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri.
Oh. Yeah, I was in boot camp was in San Diego, so it was a little nicer in San Diego.
When did the Navy switch it to everything goes through Great Lakes?
Good question, because I got a boot camp in 1989. So I'm guessing a couple of years later, there were 3 when I was in. They had Great Lakes, San Diego, and Florida at one time. They went down to 1, so I'm not sure exactly what year. I do some research on that one. Good question.
Yeah, because I think it's very interesting or kind of unique, or I don't know what the word I want to use, but because the Navy right now, everybody goes through Great Lakes. It's the only place for basic training for the Navy, and then Lackland Air Force Base is the only place that the airmen go through their boot camp. Where the Marine Corps has Parris Island, depends on what side of the Mississippi you're at or on, if you go to Parris Island or you go to Marine Corps Depot, the recruit depot in San Diego. But the Army, we've got like 5 different bases that we send people to. And I think there used to be more, but I think there's about 5, because it's Fort Sill, Fort Jackson, Fort Leonard Wood, Fort Benning. It used to be Fort Knox, but I don't think Fort Knox does basic anymore. I think it's just more job school.
Did you take the ASVAB when you joined prior? Kind of ASVAB is kind of the test to take. It kind of determines your specialty fields. Did you take that?
Yes, I took it twice actually.
And what did it come down with that you thought you would be good in?
Well, the first time I took it, I was still a junior, and so that one it didn't necessarily. I couldn't really use it. I guess I had to retake it. Closer to my senior year, so because I don't think it has to be less than a year old. I don't fully remember my score, but it was high enough to get into the job I wanted, which was at the time 91 Tango Animal Care Specialist, which is basically a veterinary technician. So I was happy with that. I know you need like a 30 or 31 to get in. And that gives you kind of some of the basic jobs, more of the infantry jobs, but the higher up you score, the more jobs are marketed to you. Or like if you get a really, really high score, you could be in Intel and computers and linguist and stuff like that. And I think you need a certain score to get into certain medical jobs.
And you've been in the same field for almost 22 years now, right?
Almost 22 years, yes.
And I was going through our kind of my memory bank. You and I believe, crossed paths around 2009.
Yes, I moved to Washington State in December of 2008.
Okay.
And then sometime early 2009 is when I started going to Crossroads.
We did church events we went to a Mariner Detroit Tiger baseball game.
Yes.
I think you're the only one rooting for the Tigers.
Probably.
I think they won too, if I can remember correctly. You were smiling ear to ear.
I think they did win. I was so excited.
I've known you for a number of years. I never really asked you. I don't know why. Just maybe it was kind of difficult to bring up. But your first husband, Juan Garza, has a special place in your heart, being one of the biggest inspirations in your life. Would you mind sharing about him a little bit and his story a little bit, if you don't mind?
Yeah. So I met Juan very early in 2002. It would have been January. So we were seniors in high school together at separate schools. He went to Petersburg in Michigan, and I still went to start in Toledo. But we worked together at Wendy's in Lambertville, near where we lived. And I started in December of 2001. And so I would have met him in January of 2002. And we just clicked and hit it off and kind of started seeing each other and just made work fun. But we clicked, and then come June, graduated high school, and then in July he left for Marine Corps basic training, and I left for Army basic training. And the Marine Corps boot camp is, I want to say, 13 weeks, something like that, 11 to 13 weeks. But they get 10 days of leave in between their basic training and their job school, and that kind of that 10-day break was during my basic training graduation. So he went out to my basic training graduation with my parents. And then he went to, what is the base in North Carolina? Lejeune for infantry training. And I went to Fort Sam Houston, Texas, and San Antonio for my vet tech training, and flew down for Thanksgiving weekend. We got engaged, these young kids, really. We were kids. Went home December 2002 for Christmas leave. Went to the courthouse and got married. Didn't tell anyone. And thinking we're so grown up, these 18 and 19-year-old kids. And then he went to Camp Pendleton, California, for part of 1st Marine Division. This is January 2003, and I go to Washington, D.C. I was stationed at Walter Reed Army Institute of Research, and everything's, beefing up for Iraq. Martin Luther King weekend, his unit deployed, took a ship across over to Kuwait, got to Kuwait in February, and kind of hung out in Kuwait until it got the green light to for the invasion of Iraq at the end of March of 2003. And on April 8th, 2003, he was shot and killed by a sniper during a battle. I always forget, like, the city he was in begins with an H, but I can never pronounce it correctly. But near Baghdad, I would say. And so we were married literally 3 months and a few days. And that has shaped and changed my whole life, my whole adult life. I can trace a lot of things back to that. Truly loved him unconditionally. I was hooked from first meeting him. And he had this best smile. He would just light a room up. And good man of God, he was saved, and he openly talked about it. He could tell you, exactly the day and the moment and the time when he was saved and got baptized. And remember his Aunt Jody, my Aunt Jody, saying, like, him coming home the one day saying he was going to rather join the Marines or be a minister.
Oh, wow.
So just this great person, this great guy that people just liked being around. I mean, he could fit into any clique, any crowd. Just fun-loving man.
And where is he laid to rest at?
In Michigan, in Temperance, Michigan, where we're from.
You go home often and see your girls, and you visit as well?
Yes. When everything happened, because his aunt and uncle, they were his legal guardians during high school, so he lived with them. That's how he ended up living in Michigan. He was born in Harlingen, or San Benito, Harlingen, Texas, down by in the valley. And his family kind of were migrant workers for a while, traveling between Finland, Toledo, Ohio area, and Texas. And ended up living with his Uncle Michael and Aunt Jody. And Jody had requested, after we all found out that he had died, that I just bring him home. And so he's buried in Temperance, where family is. So every time I go visit my parents, like, I don't ever go home and not go to the cemetery. It's about 10-minute drive from my parents' house, and not far from Jody and Michael either. So it was easier for them specifically when he first died, to be able to go to the cemetery and visit and kind of have a spot. His young cousins that were kind of like siblings to him were 5, 2, and almost 1. So Ashley's birthday is in April, and then Allie and Andrew are May. And so it would have been like 5, 3, and 1 when he died. And now Andrew is going to be 22. So 22, 24, 26.
Wow.
So grown. They're all still in the area too. So everybody can, still go visit. And
I went online and researched him, read about him a little bit, went to fallenheroesmemorial.com, read so many stories about him, and I see several from you as well. Just kind of people sharing about what a great guy he was, and just cool stories. And one that came across really hit home to me. It was a comment that says, although I didn't know him, I drove over an hour and a half to attend his funeral.
Yeah.
To me, that just gives me chills, because just a veteran, a military member, someone goes out of their way to attend someone's funeral is just amazing.
And it happened. I mean, it was so early in the war. Definitely the first from Monroe County, Michigan, to be killed. I don't think the first in Michigan, but the first definitely in Monroe County.
Mm-hmm.
And our country was so united still at that time, from September 11th. And even if people were against the invasion of Iraq and the war, they supported the service members, and people lined the streets. I mean, from Bedford Christian Community Church to the cemetery is not a very far drive, like 5-10 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
But people lined the streets with flags. The church congregation, they used their upstairs like platform for the members because the church was full. I mean, there was hundreds of people there to attend and just support. And the news channel, I want to say it was channel 13. It could have been 11, but I think it was 13. They like broadcast it live.
Oh, wow.
They weren't allowed. We didn't allow them in the church, I don't believe. But they followed the funeral procession, right?
Yep.
From the church to the cemetery, and they stood outside the cemetery for like the 21 gun salute and all of that.
Well, thanks for sharing about Juan a little bit, and I just read so many comments about him. He seemed a truly, truly amazing individual, and I'm saddened for that.
Yeah, we played his baptism actually at the funeral.
Oh, wow.
Because that way it was his own words of his relationship with God, and it's good, comforting to know, like, I know where he's at. I know he went home.
So let's share about your what you do, and what's it like doing what you do, and tell us about, kind of paraphrase what do you do, and how much fun is it?
It's depending on the day. Overall, it's very fun. So I joined as a 91 Tango animal care specialist. It's now 68 Tango. They changed it, but still a vet tech. So I did that all the way until about 3 years ago. So most people don't know the Army has veterinarians and veterinary technicians and animals. So what I usually explain it to people is that I'm like the dog nurse. So we take care of the military working dogs. We don't do their training. That's the Air Force and then the MPs, depending on what branch of service. But all the dog handlers, all the dogs come from Lackland Air Force Base. All the dog handlers, depending on all branches of service, they go to their training down in Lackland as well to learn how to be a dog handler. But we are the dog medics. So as an enlisted, I'm the technician, and then our officers are the veterinarians who have gone to vet school and then commissioned into the Army. We're the only branch of service that has my job. We're like every base all over the world, really, if that has a veterinary clinic, it is run by the Army. Doesn't matter if it's a Navy, Marine Corps, Air Force base, it's Army run vet clinic.
Oh, wow.
And so the military working dogs are supposed to be healthy 90% of the time, just like the service member is supposed to be healthy 90% of the time. So with them, we do yearly or semi-annual physicals. So every 6 months, we do yearly blood work, yearly dental cleanings, preventative, their heartworm or flea and tick medication, heartworm prevention. And then if they get hurt, they come to us. And our job is to, rehabilitate them and get them back to doing their job. But that's not an all day, every day event. So we run a business as well. There's the regular vet clinic side. So we take care of the pets of the service members. You live on base, or even if you live off base, but you have a dog or a cat, you register your pet at our facility. You can come in, make your appointment, come in for wellness exams, sick call exams, your rabies, vaccines, heartworm tests. We do simple surgeries. Most of the vet clinics will do some simple surgeries, mass removals, dental cleaning, spays, neuters. You have a few bases that have bigger, like hospitals. Veterinary Medical Center Europe, where I work now, is one of them, where you can do a lot more specialty surgeries. So it's a good job. It's awesome, but it's also not like you're not playing with puppies and kittens all day. It's normal vet work, taking care of, routine healthy animals for annual exams, and then sick animals.
How many animals do you work with overall?
Honestly, I don't know. It's changed base to base. Usually I've had 5 or so working dogs on a base, 4 to 5. And then your civilian or personal owned animal population varies. Here in Germany at where I work now out of the hospital, because we have the Air Force dogs and the Army dogs, there's probably 30 just in our area, not including all the other bases. But our sister, we call them MOSs, our job specialty is called MOS in the Army, is 68 Romeo Veterinary Food Inspection Specialist. And at the E8 level, the vet techs and the Romeos, or the food inspectors, we merge into one job as a food inspector. And they take care of, this is the part that really nobody really thinks about or knows about, is everything, that we do, every branch of service, every unit, you have to plan for food. So when you're doing regular training, different missions, and then just, feeding our regular population, the commissary. So we do a lot of food safety, food defense, extensions on shelf stable products, MREs, UGRs, op rats, ship rats. We inspect all of it. We do all of that for the Army, the Navy, and the Marine Corps. The Air Force does their own.
Wow.
So it's kind of a thankless job, but it's a really important job because, especially for the food safety and food defense side, our veterinarians do audits on facilities and plants that the government's purchasing food from to make sure that the plant's clean and, meets U.S. requirements, and in order to buy and sell to the service members. So I'm technically a food inspection specialist now, since I am an E8, but I'm in management. So I was in operations for about 1.5 years, and then for the last 2 years and some change, I've been the first sergeant for my battalion.
Yeah, 22 years. You plan on retiring anytime soon? You'll keep on
going? No, I'm ready to retire. It is fun. I still do love it. But I'm starting to get to the point where I kind of want to do what I want to do when I want to do it.
Right.
And kind of start the next chapter of my life.
And being stationed overseas is definitely a sacrifice. You have kiddos, young ladies, and during spring break, you bring them over to see you, and you guys just travel. And I get so jealous watching you guys go to so many cool places. What is that like for them? I bet they love that.
They love it. They absolutely love it. So I have 3 daughters, 2 biological and 1 bonus kid. So Allie is my oldest. She's my bonus daughter that I got when she was 8 years old when she entered my life, and made my life better. And she is 21 now and married with kids herself and living her life, and it makes me so happy to see her happy. And she's come out to visit once, and we had a whole 10-day adventure of Italy and Paris and around Germany. And my other daughters, Aurora and Scarlett, getting ready to turn 18 and 16 in April and May. And they've come out, this will be their 4th summer coming out here to spend time with me here. And they've come out twice at Christmas. Me and their dad, we alternate Christmas time. And so 2020 and 2022, I went back to Michigan for it. And 21 and 23, they came out here to Germany. But I get them for the summer, and they love it. They'll tell me places maybe they want to go. I try to ask where they want to go, and they'll be very vague. Like my Scarlett one time she wanted to go to the Netherlands. And I said, okay, why? Like, I tried to tell them to, like, trying to get them to research their own trips and kind of plan it a little bit, tell me exactly what they want to do and see, because these countries are big. They're not as big as the United States, but they're still big. And like I mean, from one part of Germany to the next, it's a 10-hour drive. So that's like a whole day, right? And Italy's the same way. Italy is a very, long country. France is a very big country. And the different regions are very, very different. So I'm like, where do you want to go? What do you want to see? And Scarlett, this would have been the summer of 21, their first summer out here. And she wanted to go to the Netherlands. And I'm like, okay, why? Like, what do you want to see? And then she's like, I don't know. I just want to see the Dutch. And I'm like, okay, so do we drive to the border? And I point to a person and I'm okay, there's the Dutch. And like, what? So then I try my best to appease them and give them these adventures. And so we went to, the Netherlands is also known for windmills. And so we went to one of the spots that had all the windmills, and we rented bikes and we rode bikes for an hour or two around all these windmills in the river, and went to Amsterdam and did a little river cruise. And she picked going to when we were in Amsterdam, going to this, the Science Center, Science Museum, which was cool. And we went to the Anne Frank house. Aurora, she'll be 18 in May, and she's a senior in high school, graduating in June, and then she's heading to Michigan State University for college. But she's really into history and World War II history, a little bit more political. She's very big into Model UN, and very different from Scarlett, who's, turning 16 in like 3 weeks and loves Pokemon and aquariums. And she was saying a year or two ago she wanted to be a marine biologist. So she's not into history like Aurora. So when we go and we do a history thing, I've got Scarlett going, oh, history. And then we go to an aquarium and Aurora's like, oh, another fish. And and I want to be outside and I want to hike and I want to run. And so I'm trying to appease all of us on these trips. So we did the Anne Frank house for me and Aurora, and then we did the Science Museum for Scarlett, and then we walked around and
but all your posts, they're always smiling and having a great time. So I think either way, I think they're just enjoying time with you, and I get so cool, so jealous.
I really, it's been fun, and as much as the adventures are amazing, and then pictures I've taken, or like the scenery and the things that we have seen and done, truly the most memorable and moments for me and the best times are actually the journey. It's the time in the car. It's the time in the hotel or the Airbnb, the jokes, the laughs, not necessarily the hike that we did, but it's just that time with us, with me and my kids, as a family. I feel like the more memories, the specific memories that I have, favorite moments and parts of each trip aren't actually the trip. It's just the time with us together.
And now technology allows you to video chat, and back in my days in the Navy in 1989, we had letters. We wrote letters.
Yeah, that's Juan and I wrote letters. Skype wasn't a thing.
Nothing.
I was lucky to have. We had a cell phone when I was 18, but we wrote letters too. The video messaging was starting to come out, but now with Skype and FaceTime and all these different social media platforms, all of them have a video call or an audio call. It makes it so much easier. I couldn't imagine doing this separated thing
next
years
time
ago.
you guys on, I want you to do a video podcast and just take me around some places where you're going.
Yeah. FaceTime me in.
I want to see castles. My wife loves castles. I love aquariums. I love water. I love mountains. So, yeah, my wife and I are kind of opposites as well. But we love just being out and seeing cool places. I want to get back there. You do a lot of running. You do a lot of marathons. What's it like when you get out and kind of run, a marathon or a race somewhere in the middle of nowhere and just seeing the beauty around you? I bet that's pretty awesome.
It is. That's actually why I'm in Milan right now. I'm running a half marathon tomorrow morning in Milan, so I'm excited for that. I've been running since I was 12. I guess I started in 7th grade with cross country and track, and just loved it. And then it was really after Juan died, it became my therapy. Was my time where I could just be me and I didn't have to be on per se. Like, there's so many times where I feel like I have to be on, or rather it's at work or, certain people around me or my kids, where you don't always want to have a breakdown or show emotion. And, running was my time to just be me and be with my thoughts and my feelings and grieve and cry and pray and let it go and just be in nature or be on the road. Sometimes just me in the road is the best therapy I can have. And so I've always just loved the challenge. So it was in 2003, obviously after Juan died, and I was living in DC. That's where I was stationed, and the Army 10 Miler is hosted in DC every year. It's one of the Army's biggest races and huge road race in DC, and that was my longest distance at that point. We had a couple different teams from work running it, and so I ran it, and again, longest road race at that time, and we got done, and my NCO at the time, and he had run the Marine Corps Marathon the year prior, and he was running it again in 2003. And he was like, Marine Corps Marathon's in 3 weeks. And I was like, yeah, let's do it. Kind of joking. I just run 10 miles. 10 miles is the longest I'd ever ran. Because, high school cross country is only a 3-mile run. And I've done like 4 and 5 mile races, but now I've done 10. Like, that's the biggest one. And the race was on a Sunday. The next day at work, he called my desk and he said, are you serious? And I said, well, Sergeant, I haven't trained for a marathon. And he said, well, I know, but if you are serious and you want to do it, I can get you in. You're going to have to, tell your story, but I can get you in, because these races sell out really fast. And so I said, okay. And 3 weeks later, I ran my first marathon, and it was 6 months after Juan had died. And I wore American flag shorts and a white cotton shirt with his picture on it that his family had made, that said "Our Hero." And I ran it. I think it was 5.5 hours. And that was like the start of my long distance running journey, and running really becoming my relief, my therapy, my time to just be with him, be with God, be with my thoughts, my feelings. And now I've done, I want to say 9 or 10 marathons and tons of halves. I've done 2 half Ironmans. I've done tons of different 5Ks and 10Ks, but I don't do it to win. I don't do it to place. My goal is always to finish and not be last.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You can be second to last. I just don't want to be last.
I did a 5 years ago, Whaling Days in Silverdale. My goal was 1, to finish, 2, not die.
Yeah. I just keep going.
That's awesome.
It's just like one foot in front of the other, and I'm slow. I'm very good at pacing myself, being a long distance endurance athlete, and also not doing it to win. I can just shuffle along. I don't typically walk at all during any of my races. I might stop for a couple seconds at the water stop because I I can't run and drink water at the same time. It just spills all over me. So I just keep shuffling along one foot in front of the other. And
that's it.
I call them my Juan moments, because there's been a handful of times throughout different races or where like I know he's there. I know it's like maybe sounds weird to say, but I've had different little moments along the journey in life where like I know he's kind of with me, or maybe it's God, but
maybe it's both.
It's both.
This podcast is about encouraging others any way I can, and my goal has always been to encourage somebody out there somewhere. And one of the quotes you sent me in your bio was one, I believe, from Juan. It says, or maybe it's from you, I'm sure. Life is a gift.
Yes.
Can you share about that a little bit? And what it means to you?
Just that, it's a gift. I feel a lot of people sometimes take things for granted. I think we all do it at times, and it's not always on purpose. It's just human nature, I guess. But life is so precious. It's such a gift. Tomorrow's never guaranteed. I learned that very fast at 19 years old. At 19 years old, I had to be a completely grown-up adult, going through something that no one else my age that I knew had experienced, or even my parents' age. Actually, one of the most comforting people to me at that time was my great uncle Frank, who had served in World War II, just because he had experienced stuff like that I was now going through a war death. So yeah, just life is so precious and a gift, and I want to take advantage of the moments that I have and cherish them and not take it for granted, because tomorrow's not guaranteed. Our health isn't always guaranteed. And so as long as I'm able to get out there and breathe and exercise and experience life, I'm gonna do it.
Well, thank you so much for this opportunity today, and I just wish you nothing but the best in all you do, and I pray for your safety, your girl's safety, and just I wish you the best, and thank you so much for the time and sharing your story a little bit, and just you're awesome. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Thanks.
Take care.
You too. Bye.
Hello, my friends. I want to get here a few minutes and just share with you some thoughts that are on my head, my heart, and here we go. How are you? No, really, how are you? Are you going through some hard times? Health issues, finance issues. You're being pulled in every direction and you just don't know when it's going to stop. I think this is probably most Americans out there who are dealing with something. Price of gas, groceries has gone through the roof. And you probably are stressing out. How are you going to make ends meet? How are you going to pay rent? How are you going to pay? I want to challenge you to find a few minutes during your day and to try, excuse me, and refocus and just pause. Turn off the TV, the music, whatever you're doing, just sit down and be still. And for me, this is very, very hard for me because I was in the Navy. I have
I've never been diagnosed for this, but I have tinnitus, which means my ears ring pretty consistently. It's not affecting my life, but if I sit still and I turn everything off, I hear a high-pitched ring, just like I am right now. And when I got out of the Navy in 1993, everything was working. My fingers, my knees, my back. I was 22 years old. Everything was working for me. And now fast forward and I'm 53 and my ears ring, and I have never gone to try to get disability. It's a lot of time and a lot of seeing doctors and this and that. So for me to be still, to be quiet, and just to think is hard. I gotta have some kind of music, background noise, something. So I'm challenging myself as well in this aspect so I can do the same thing. I'm just like you guys. I'm pulled in every direction. I'm stressed to no end, and I don't know what to do. So sitting still, whether it's a dark room or just outside, and just breathing. There's a song by Johnny Diaz, a Christian artist. It's called Breathe. Just breathe. And so many times when we're going through issues, could be health, finances, the car broke down, the refrigerator is leaking refrigerant. It could be whatever things is going on. We forget the most important thing, to breathe. God is in control. And for right now, for me, I'm congested. My nose is stopped up. I'm coughing a little bit. It's hard for me to breathe just in my nose. But when you do that, when you find a few minutes in your day to say, God, I'm giving you, I call it trash. I'm giving you all my worries, all my cares, all my health issues, my broken down, busted car. I'm giving you everything and laying at his feet and walking away. And mentally, it may help you release a burden that's weighing you down. One of the verses that's on my head often is Matthew 6:34. It says, "Do not worry." I worry often. And when I give it all to God and I walk away and I keep a little in my back pocket, like, why? Why do that? Give God all my worries. It's hard. Life is hard. I want to challenge you. If you want to write it down, the stuff you're going through on a piece of paper, then catch it on fire. It might help you visualize seeing, giving those problems to God, giving those worries to God. I'm in a very similar situation, and I'm trying my best to do that on a daily basis, because every new day a new worry pops up. I'm like, I can't. God's in control. He knew these problems years and years and years ago before I was even around. So these are my words of encouragement for you today in this episode. It's okay. Give your worries, give your cares, give all your stuff to God. He will help you through it. He is the encourager of all encouragers. I try to encourage. I do my best to share kindness and positivity, but God is the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end. He is the encourager of all. God bless.
This is Chit and Chat, the encouraging one another podcast. It's always about encouraging others. The first song I'm playing for you is by Brandon Maddox, and his song is called Last Farm in the USA. At the beginning of this, he shares about why he wrote this song.
So I wrote my song Last Farm in the USA back in 2020. I was told by my record label guy that just signed me back in March of 2020 when everything was about to shut down and we didn't know it, that the CCP was buying up farmland in the heartland of America. And when that happened, I was like, wow, I can't believe that's actually happening here in America. It was like, you know, near the bases, military bases, that they were buying up this land, even in places like Missouri. So I decided to sit down with my guitar and write that song about generational farming and how we're losing that, and we should not sell out to the corporation. We shouldn't sell out in life. We shouldn't sell out with the family farm. We don't need to sell out on our values or comply just because, and basically compliance can be selling out. But that's why I wrote the song, came up with it, and did a recording with Reba McEntire's band with it, and did a music video just recently. It's coming out in the next few days.
Riding out at first light, high on his tractor, even higher in my eyes. He'd plow those fields all day, then at supper he'd pray, thank the good Lord for this life. Daddy never said a word for me to understand. No money's worth the price of giving up your land. He taught this wide-eyed child with a freckle-faced smile how to be a man. That was 20 years ago. Now I've got a family of my own. On this 200-acre labor of love, generations have fought to carry on. So I go till I can't go no more. Hold on, son, let the dream endures through the years, till the mud, sweat, and tears stirs the pride up deep in my bones. And if someday the shadow of a high-rise falls on my grave, go on and damn it all, carve it on my headstone that I thought I'd known. The last farm in the USA. As my neighbor sold out to a big boy firm, they tore down his house and barn. We cried and watched them burn. His grandpa built their home with every cent he slaved each day to earn. I took my ball cap off, then slammed it down and said, enough's enough. I'll fight, I'll give my dying breath before I choose to give this up. And I'll go till I can't go no more. Hold on, son, let the dream endures through the years, till the mud, sweat, and tears stirs the pride up deep in my bones. And if someday the shadow of a high-rise falls on my grave, go on and damn it all, carve it on my headstone that I thought I'd known. The last farm in the USA. This dirt is the blood running through my veins. This ground is my family name. Yesterday we fed this nation. Today it's cutthroat corporations. And tomorrow our very way of life might slip away. So I go till I can't go no more. Hold on, son, let the dream endures through the years, till the mud, sweat, and tears stirs the pride up deep in my bones. And if someday the shadow of a high-rise falls
Brandon Maddox, last farm in the USA. I'm working on getting him on the podcast, hearing his story and sharing his music here on Chit and Chat. As I continue to reach out to musicians all over the United States and the world, basically, asking them to share their music with me and to come on and have an interview. This other guy named Chad Clark, I'm working on getting him on the show. I play his song, Lord Knows.
I could tell something was wrong. Guess I knew it all along, but I kept lying to myself. Nothing I could do or say to bring back yesterday. So I put my heart on a shelf, and I cried a little bit each night, holding on to my pillow tight, brushing back your long hair, just as if you were there and you still love me like a star. But you ain't the first to leave me, you ain't the first to go. Oh darling, please believe me when I tell you so, that I'll be alright. Lord knows I couldn't see him in your eyes. Guess that comes as no surprise. You said I never knew how you felt, but I'll just carry on like I've done all along, play the cards that I was dealt. And I cry a little bit each night, holding on to my pillow tight, brushing back your long hair, just as if you were there and you'd still love me like a star. But you ain't the first to leave me, you ain't the first to go. Oh darling, please believe me when I tell you so, that I'll be alright. Lord knows. No, you ain't the first to leave me, you ain't the first to go. Oh darling, please believe me when I tell you so, that I'll be alright. Yes, I'll be alright, be alright. Lord knows, Lord knows, Lord knows, Lord knows.
It was Chad Clark, Lord Knows. Our next song is by Lucky Mays. Its song is I Found Love, and I can't wait to have him on the show as well, working on getting a lot of musicians on, sharing their music, and just hearing their story. I believe each and every one of us have a story, what we've been through, what we've gone through, and challenges we faced, and when you share that with people, I think it helps other people who may be going through similar issues. So this is Lucky Mays, I Found Love.
It was in your smile and the way you looked at me when I realized I'd never be the same. It was in the rain, we broke down on 65, hitched a ride from Tommy's dad to Cherry Lane. And before I had no clue where I was going, flying blind, wide open, oh. Then I learned if something just ain't working, it'll always leave you searching, oh. I found love when I found you. I had nothing in my life to compare it to. I found love when I found you. And I know everything before was not enough till I found love. It was in this town spent every single summer fixing that rundown Silverado, building dreams. And Friday nights we would run down to the river, southern stars brighter than we ever seen. I found love when I found you. I had nothing in my life to compare it to. I found love when I found you. I know everything before was not enough till I found love that changed the meaning of the lies I kept believing. I convinced myself I'd never be loved till I found love. I found love when I found you. I had nothing in my life to compare it to. I found love when I found you. I know everything before was not enough till I found love.
What a great song by Lucky Mays, I Found Love. I just love that. This style is just kind of a chill song and just it's so powerful. Great words by Lucky Mays here on Chit and Chat, the encouraging one on the podcast. Hola, my friends. Hope you're doing well. Maybe you're getting a little hungry, so this little promotion for some businesses here in Silverdale might get you hungry. So if you're in the area, Kitsap County area, stop on by and see my friends at Taquiza, located at the Kitsap Mall in Silverdale. Their address is 10315 Silverdale, Washington. Their number is 360-698-4335. And on Tuesdays, you can go down and get your fill of tacos for 50% off. And now they have 6 kinds of tacos, so you can guarantee you'll get full on some tacos on Tuesday. They have burritos, chimichangas, taco salads. My favorite are the grilled jalapenos. And sometimes in the season, those jalapenos are super hot and super good. So go on down and see my friends at Taquiza at the Kitsap Mall. Also in Silverdale, they have a food truck called Taquiza Street. They have breakfast burritos, homemade flan, tacos, and churros too. All made with the freshest ingredients. Great customer service, great staff, Their number is 360-200-7315, located at 9571 Silverdale WA, Washington. That's 9571 Silverdale WA in Silverdale. Taquiza and Taquiza Street, great places for some authentic Mexican food. Go down and see them. Tell them Jody sent you from Chit Chat, the encouraging one another podcast, and get your feel on some delicious tacos.
What do you get when you combine a brick oven, some homemade sauces, hand-breaded JoJo's, hand-breaded chicken, homemade dough, all in one place? You will find some of the best tasting food in Kitsap County. I'm talking about Chico Chicken and Pizza. Their menu ranges from all kinds of pizzas and specialty subs. They have some really good chicken meal deals for the family and great tasting sides. And their chicken is not your normal run the chicken. No. They don't throw the chicken in some fryer and call it good. Their chicken is brined, breaded, pressure fried, and prepared in their classic brine. They season it to perfection. Then they pressure fry it to a delicious golden brown to deliver the best tasting chicken in town. Some of the great sides they have are baked macaroni and cheese, with JoJo's like bacon and cheddar and garlic and parmesan, as well as baked beans and potato salad. Everything is made with the freshest ingredients every day. They are locally owned and operated, so why not give Chico Chicken and Pizza a call today and place your order at 360-550-4041 or their website at chicochickenandpizza.com. They are also located at 2165 Irvins Point Road in Wilmington, and they're open from noon to 10 p.m. every day. That's Chico Chicken and Pizza. Eat well, eat local. When we transported back in time to, say, the 1950s, as soon as you arrive at the Big Apple Diner, you'll be transported back in time. Their decor is amazing. Their menu is amazing too, with breakfast, lunch, and dinner items. Try something different each time you go. I've had the penny pincher combo, which is a combination of quarter pounder with cheese, french fries, and a milkshake or drink for $9.99. Where can you find a meal for $9.99? And they have over 30 flavors of milkshakes. You could literally have a milkshake a day and never get enough of the milkshakes, pies, and sundaes at the Big Apple Diner. Dine in or take out. Swing by and check them out. They're located at 6720 Kitsap Way in Bloomington, and their hours are 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. and they're closed on Mondays. Swing by and check them out. The Big Apple Diner. The website is thebigapplediner.com, or you can call and place your order today at 360-373-8342. Eat well, eat local, eat at the Big Apple Diner in Bremerton.
Before we wrap up, I want to be sure that I pay tribute to the many men and women who are serving in our armed forces. For the many men and women who never made it home. And I want to play taps after each upcoming episode of Chit and Chat, just to remember those who pay the ultimate sacrifice for our freedoms. thank you so much for joining today here on Chit and Chat, the encouraging one other podcast. Thank you to the musicians who shared their music: Brandon Maddox, Chad Park, Lucky Mays, and Claire Cunningham. Please follow them, check them out. Great tunes. And thank you for my guest, Casey Cole, today, who came on and we shared about her and her career and about her first husband, Juan Garza, who died defending our freedoms for our country. It's incredible hearing his story. And this podcast is about encouraging others, and I believe in my heart, deep down in my heart, each of us have a story of things we faced, adversity, challenges, obstacles. And that story could help someone who's going through a hard time. So don't be afraid to share your story. Don't be afraid to open up a little bit and help someone who could be struggling. One word of encouragement could make a huge impact on someone's life. You never know the power of encouraging words, of encouraging actions. Thank you all for being part of this podcast journey. Over 130 episodes, sharing encouragement, positivity, and meeting people from all over the world. This is Chit and Chat, the encouraging one another podcast. My name is Jody. See you next week.